We're continuing our discussion on the anatomy of relationship and marriage. The anatomy of relationship and marriage. And today we are moving on to part 5. And in part 5, we are discussing Protocol 3. Like I said, this will be a 3-month program. So we'll be finishing sometimes in October. And I'm hoping it's going to be an interesting one for all of us to be able to get the best. The youth of this generation are faced with the great challenge of choosing life partner. Many have followed practices and not principles, and this has led to a situation where you have a high rate of divorce and paternity fraud in many marriages. So the goal of this program is to help everyone that will be part of it, or those that will be listening afterwards, to be able to get it right in these critical areas of their life. You will hear some uncommon ideas about marriage in this series. Please note that these are based on research, and they will help you to align with the current reality of our times. Listen with open mind, and also go back to check some of the thoughts that have been shared in order to see if those things are so. Now, one of the things I've decided to do at every session is to talk about some cases. Cases that make this particular conversation very important. So I go online to get some live examples of decisions that people make, and then for us to be able to get to learn from them. Look at this. This person wrote, "I'm so confused. I am in current state of confusion, and I honestly don't know what to do. I'm in a relationship for 2 years now, but my boyfriend is planning on getting married in 5 to 7 years. He feels he needs to be really comfortable in life before marriage, which I understand him. I am 27 years of age, there's a lady, and I feel my time, by the time he is ready, I'll be past 30. So currently, I was introduced to some man by a friend. This man is rich and very kind to me, and tell me he wants to marry me. Mind you, he's like 20 years older than I. My family feel I should go ahead because he's definitely going to change my life. I'm so confused on what to do. Please help." Now, this tells you how people make decisions about relationship and marriage. This is a life example. You can see, number one, it was in a relationship, and for 2 years, and the guy said he's not ready for marriage 5 to 7. So my question is, why are you going to a relationship with someone who is not ready to get married? Why is it that people just waste their time and their life with all this relationship thing? You should only be interested in going into a relationship when you are ready to get married, in a year or 2, even a year. So there's no point wasting your time, and because there's so much happening in our society today, and someone said, look at this story, look at this one, look at this one.
Everything to make you comfortable. Hello, Tima. I dated my boyfriend for 6 years. I gave my all to him, saved up my salary to get him a driver's license, and went ahead to get him a car so he can start something. All this while, he was staying with me in my family house. I did everything to make him comfortable, and now that he has started working, he's going around introducing another woman to his friends as his one. We've been through a lot, and after 2 abortions, that has left my flow in a mess, and I have to take pills to correct it.
Can you hear me, please? I had an issue with my network. If you can hear me, just drop a message. Can you hear me, please? Hello? If you can hear me, drop a message in the chat. Can you hear me? All right, thank you very much. Okay.
I don't know what to do. We bought everything on our engagement list, but now he says he's not ready to get married. As I write, he has left my place, and for almost a year now, I don't know where he lives. My problem is, whose son will accept me in my current condition? A woman that menstruates 3 times in a month. Please help me. If I need to talk to someone else, or else I'll go mad. I don't know.
Another one. In a relationship for 6 months. 6 years. 6 years. I will address some of these issues as we go along, but I'm bringing out some serious life issues about the way people go about relationship and marriage that is creating a lot of heartache for many people. So let me start today with this statement. Relationship experts have proposed the concept of user's manual as a panacea for preventing and solving many conflicts in relationship and marriage. User's manual. It's been advised that the key to mastering yourself and your spouse is to master their user's manual. So basically designing a user's manual between both of you. Designing a user's manual. Basically having a document that lets you know who is this person and how do you get the best from this individual. A user's manual is said to be a document that clearly articulates everything about a product to enable effective utilization of that product by the user and to prevent unnecessary damage. Your user's manual is the document that show you the authentic you and how best you should be handled for maximum benefit by the user. It is the authentic narrative about you, not holding anything back. This is being recommended that both parties design what someone described as a user's manual, but some people will call it learning to understand yourselves. So the question is, how then do you draft such a manual? How do you draft such a manual? Because then this helps you not to misunderstand each other. This helps you to be able to get the best from each other. You need to pay 30 grand up front so you go save his life. I didn't tell you the second part of the story. Sorry. This helps you to understand each other and get the best from each other in order to be able to maximize the relationship. You know, one challenge a lot of people have, particularly within the first few years of marriage, is the fact that they don't understand each other and they are trying to understand each other. But if they have developed a user's manual for themselves, the husband understands the wife better, the wife understands the husband better. But this is based on the fact that they have written down information about themselves that help the other party. Remember, you are coming from different backgrounds, different experiences, different knowledge about how life works, different belief system, different values, different choices. These are real challenges we face in relationship. But if you already have a document like this, it might be able to make it easier to live together in peace and harmony in such a relationship. So what is your authentic self? That means, who are you? That's a question to be answered in the user's manual. This is the question of identity, and it's basically highlight what you believe your life is about. Who are you? You know, because I need to know who you are so that I can also support you. You need to know who I am so you can support me, particularly as far as what we believe our life goals and callings are all about. Have turned their back on him. And this is very important. You know, it's so interesting that people marry, they confess they love each other, but they turn their back against each other after a while. And they fight so dirty sometimes and wish each other dead, or even leading to beating each other. And one of the challenges is lack of understanding of ourselves. So it's recommended, have a user's manual. How should you engage in the relationship with this guy? How do you engage in the relationship with this lady? What is our life all about? Another question that should be answered in the user's manual. What are your qualities? This has to do with your area of strength. And this can be defined in the area of handling challenges, solving problems, what you are capable of doing. What are your unique quality that defines you? Do you know some people they have amazing wife who is a financial expert, but they're having financial challenges because the man wants to handle finance when he's not sound in financial matter. But he wants to handle finance. He wants to be one in charge. But he has a wife that is an expert in financial management. If you have understanding of each other's quality, because it's supposed to be a team and we are both stakeholders in this team, that means I should leverage on your area of strength, you have to leverage on my area of strength, and together, both of us achieve more. Together, both of us achieve more. So number one, what is your authentic self? What's your life about? Number two, what are your weaknesses? The guy is going to write his own. The lady is going to write his own. What are your strengths, rather? What are your strengths or qualities? Then number three, what are your weaknesses? What are the things that you struggle to do in life, particularly in managing relationships, in solving problems? Some ladies don't like to do house chores. They don't like it. So they don't do it so well. But a number of the house chores, you can outsource it if you can finance it. So you can't say because, oh, how can it be a wife and he can't do house chores? What if she's earning enough to be able to pay for someone to do it? Come in maybe every evening or every morning or every weekend to come and do it. What if she can do that? How can that be a reason? But when you understand that, look, she doesn't like it. She doesn't do it so well. And because she doesn't like it and do it so well, I already know this is a weakness, this is a challenge, and then we find a way to fix it. But you know, the traditional African man, no, I cannot marry a wife. I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do that. That's why I said, if you don't define the reason why you're coming together, if you don't define it correctly, you might have issues. Because if your definition of a wife is that he has to wash your clothes and cook your meal, what if you marry Mike Adenuga's daughter, or you marry Otedola's daughter, or you marry Dangote's daughter, or you marry Big Gate's daughter? She can afford to get a chef. Why should she spend her time in the kitchen if she can afford to get a chef to do the job? Why should she? But because we grew up and we see that this is the way we have learned it, this is what we have seen, and we believe, oh no, anything short of that cannot be correct. But that's not right, and that's not true. What is the area, what does it struggle with? What do you struggle with? Another one. What are your safety precautions? This is very important. Safety precaution. Number one, what is your authentic self? Number two, what are your strengths or qualities? Number three, what are your weaknesses? Number four, what are your safety precautions? What should your spouse avoid in order to ensure that you do not get offended? What should you avoid? Sometimes I will discuss with my wife and I'll just tell her, let's change the topic. Just change the topic. Let's change the topic, because there's no point having argument on, let's just change the topic. So we can discuss other things that are important and more defined, rather than arguing, discussing what perhaps sometimes we didn't even argue about it in the first place, because it doesn't make sense. No safety precaution. What should your spouse, what should you avoid in order to ensure that you do not get offended? How should he or she handle you, particularly when you are unhappy, when you are sad, when you are facing challenges? How should she handle you? How do you want to be handled? What are your safety precautions? Especially when you are at the edge, so you don't go overboard. What are your safety precautions? Why is it that when she noticed or he noticed, you know that all is not well, and do something about it? You know, ladies are fond of something. They expect the men to know some things, as in they expect. You know, the day we begin to talk about the predisposition of men and women, maybe we understand ourselves better. And I will show you some pictures to demonstrate there when I get there. I'll show some pictures so you can understand the difference between men and women, that we are so different. As in, we are too different. So there's some things the lady expects the man to notice and he's not noticing. And he expects, he should see. Why would he not notice it? Why would you not see it? You just make your hair. The guy did not see it and compliment. And you're asking, so you mean you didn't see my hair? You mean since 3 days you didn't see my hair? The guy did not see it, I'm telling you. He didn't see it. He didn't notice it. And you're angry. But the guy did not notice it. If you as a lady does not understand that from guys, that the guy now need to learn to notice those things. You need to learn to notice it. I had to learn it because my wife accused me and I had to apologize. I said, sorry, you look nice, you know. But I for one reason, I don't just say it. And a lot of guys don't. Some guys have trained themselves to be able to see it. I told guys that if you have sisters, you can use your sister as a means of learning a lot about relationships. Because there's something your sister will do. Don't think it's peculiar to your sister. That is, a lot of things she does is generally among the way a lot of ladies behave. So that you don't see it as being excess because your sister just feels she's like that. No, she's not like that. Oh. The wife you marry might be exactly like that. Maybe that's why she's your sister, to teach you ahead. To teach you ahead. So how should you be handled? Your precaution. What are your fantasies? Fantasies. You know, some Christians are so religious. They don't discuss some of these issues. They are so religious. They don't discuss some of these issues. Let me read a story. Let me read something to you. Let me read something to you. And it's a story online. Look at this. This is a story. This person is asking for advice. Look at this. Oh. I've been married for 4 years now. My wife and I are born again Christian. But this guy is sexually active before he got married. He said he had sex twice before he got married. But while they are dating, they never had sex. They kept themselves. Now, she married the lady as a virgin. Since we have been married, I have begged my wife for sex. I've had to beg my wife for sex. I've had to beg my wife for sex. Also, she's shy from doing a particular style, doggy style. She said, it is someone I'm seeing that it's making me to ask for that. Every day, she will say, I'm tired today, I'm tired tomorrow. I don't like to masturbate because I'm Christian and I'm a born-again Christian. I'm married now and sex is not a sin again. And my wife is saying she's tired. I don't want to bring the matter to church for counseling. Please, what do I do? You know, and I'm bringing some of this story up every time. Live cases of people asking counselor online on what to do. No, just imagine the situation. Just imagine the situation. This guy had fantasies because he was already sexually active before he got married. The lady had never had sex before. You know, I've said it severally here. If you are married and one of you is sexually active, you must discuss this issue of sex and you must discuss it seriously. And be comfortable with it before you go ahead. Don't create problem for each other. Because by one person having experience, it's enough challenge. But it's not a challenge that cannot be sorted out or discussed or resolved. But just know that this guy already have some fantasies depending on how far she went or he went when he was sexually active before marriage. So what are your fantasies? Remember, we're discussing today user's manual. Husband user's manual, wife user's manual. What are our fantasies? Particularly in terms of sex, in terms of traveling, in terms of food, in terms of celebration and so on. What are his or her fantasies? What are the fantasies? I'll go over it again. What is your authentic self? What are your strengths or qualities? What are your weaknesses? What are your safety precautions? What are your fantasies? Then what are your deal breaker? What can happen that will make you either to remain in the relationship or quit the marriage? What is the deal breaker? What is it that must happen for you to say, look, I'm done with this relationship? That if that thing happens, you will not be interested again. You will quit. What is that deal breaker? What is the deal breaker that both of you cannot do without? What is your deal breaker? You know, I tell people that you must get to a point in marrying. You must get to a point that, look, nobody prayed that this happened, but if you are not ready to forgive if your husband or your wife cheated, maybe you should not get married. Maybe. I'm not saying you should, and I'm not saying she should, but you know what? Jesus forgives us everything. You should be willing to forgive. Particularly if it's a mistake that happened, not because it become habitual, no, but it was not well guarded and it happened. You must be willing, either as a man or woman. If you are not willing, maybe you should not. Maybe you should not. Just in case it happened. So you don't have a situation in which you say, look, I want to divorce. Anyway, it's a personal decision you have to take. All I make here is recommendations. What is your deal breaker? What is your deal breaker? What is your deal breaker? What can happen that will make you either remain in the relationship or quit? Then the next one, what gets you upset? What are the things that make you easily get angry? What gets you upset? Now, when you're upset, how best do you recover? You know, some of us have not even done this thing about ourselves. Some of us have not done this same thing we're talking about ourselves. And you should do this about yourself. You should do this about yourself. How best you recover? How can you be helped to recover? What can the person do to help you recover from your anger? Then what are your blind spots? What are the things you overlook that you don't take serious? You just overlook it. You tend to overlook it. People complain about it, but you overlook it. It's not a big deal to you. What are your blind spots? What are your mostly misunderstood attitudes? What are the things you do that people misunderstood? You do it innocently, but people misunderstood it. Maybe they made them say you are too proud, you are too arrogant, you are this, you are that. You are doing it innocently, you are not even conscious of it. But people what are those things that people misunderstood about you? Now, both of you should write answers to these questions about yourself and let the other party know how to get the best out of you. Now, so the recommendation is, if you are newly married, it's a good time to do it. If you are not yet married, it's the best time to do it. If you have been married for a while, it's still good you do it. If you have not noticed it, user's manual. You are writing about your party. The lady writes about herself, the guy writes about herself, and you exchange it. So I have your manual. I know exactly the way to ensure I maximize you, and I don't offend you, and I don't rough feather, and you know exactly how to do same for me. User's manual. Marriage has been defined by an expert as the coming together of a man and a woman from two different nations. Okay, let me get the question again. Number one, what is your authentic self? What I would do, based on what someone just said now, I would drop those questions in the WhatsApp chat. I would drop those questions in the WhatsApp chat. I will drop it now. Someone just asked for that now, and I will drop it now in the WhatsApp chat so that you can be able to begin to work on that immediately. Someone is also asking, there is a replay. Yes, there is a replay. It's always available on my SoundCloud account. If you search for my name on SoundCloud, you will see it. The first question is, let me just go through it. User's manual. Relationship user's manual. Number one, what is your authentic self? Number two, what are your strengths and qualities? What are your strengths? Your area of strength. Area of strength or qualities. Then number three, what are your weaknesses? Number four, what are your safety precautions? Number five, what are your fantasies? Number six, what are your deal breaker? Number seven, what gets you upset? Number eight, how best should you be handled? Number nine, what are your blind spots? Number 10, what are your mostly misunderstood attitudes? I've just dropped it on the chart, so you can see it on the chart now. I want to ensure I don't forget based on that request. Okay, marriage has been designed is coming together of a man and woman from two different nations to build a new nation that promotes the best interests of all and whose culture will give our world rest. Now, I love this definition. Man and woman coming together from two different nations to form a new nation, because family is a functional unit of a nation. And the nation they are producing is to promote the best interest of all and develop a culture that will give our world the best. Please note that the greatest threat to marital peace is the culture that have been imbibed by different families. that produce each of you. So what the greatest challenge of different family is, both of you are coming from different family. So you are forming a new family. But both of you are coming from different family with a different culture. Now you have come together and there's a clash of culture. That's one of the greatest challenge. One of the greatest challenge. Why? Because environment creates experience. Please follow me on this journey. Environment creates experience of life which affect your knowledge about how to run your family. And this affects your belief system. That knowledge of how to run your family affects your belief system. Your belief system affects the things you value. And things you value affect the choices you make. That's what is creating the bad choices. And the choices you make is what leads to the action you take. So the culture of the family you come from, therefore, dictates your belief. It dictates your attitude. It dictates your behavior and your convictions. Dictate your behavior and your convictions. Some of us come from a very toxic culture. Very toxic culture. But if nobody tells you this is not a good way to live, you won't know. If nobody tells you, you won't know that is not a good way to live. Some come from a family with abusive father who will beat the child and beat the mother and beat everybody. And the man believes beating is the way to correct. Oh, someone said, where did I post it? I posted it in a WhatsApp group. If you are just joining us and you don't belong to the WhatsApp group, let me see if I can drop the link to the WhatsApp group for you. I'm dropping the link for you now on the WhatsApp. Emmanuel, I've dropped the link. If you click on that link, join the WhatsApp, then I will repost it again so you can see it. So if you join, immediately you join the WhatsApp, okay, someone just joined, okay, a number of people have joined. So I'm going to repost it again now that some of you just joined. So I've reposted it again so you can see it. So I was saying that conviction, some people come from very toxic culture. Imagine a lady that came from a home where the dad helped the mother in the kitchen, in house chores, in cleaning, and married a man that the father with cross-legged, watching TV, even when the woman is dying under heat in the kitchen. No, he has never been to the kitchen. That guy believes the place of woman is in the kitchen. She's to do that job alone. The lady believes the guy should be able to help. After all, growing up, the husband, the father, was helping. Clash of culture. Clash of culture. Clash of culture. One is coming from a very terrible background. One is coming from a very terrible background in which the father is very inconsiderate. And one is coming from where the father worked with the mother as a team and stakeholder in the family. That guy cannot understand the reason why he should help the husband and the wife in the kitchen. He can't understand it. Why should he go and help? As in, it doesn't make sense to him. Why? The environment he grew up from. The environment he grew up from. That environment already paints a picture that makes him to believe helping your wife in the kitchen is not acceptable. Therefore, more often than not, when two people are having crisis in marriage, what often causes the fight is the clash of culture that produced the two of them. The clash of culture that produced the two of them. This has led to 5 different types of family or marital formation. Look at the 5. An expert postulates that there are 5 different kinds of family formation in the world. Now, you have to decide which one you want to belong. You decide either by design or by default. Many people decide the kind of family they are raising by default, but you have to design it. You decide the kind of family type you will build either by default or by design. Either by default or by design. This includes Bosidon, Tantis, Galacticos, Brethren, and Dream Team. Bosidon. That's the type 1, family type 1, Bosidon. Family type 2, Tantis. Family type 3, Galacticos. Family type 4, Brethren. Family type 5, Dream Team. Family type 1, Bosidon. This is a master-slave relationship where the husband is the master and the wife is a slave. Because the wife have no say in this relationship. The wife have no say. The husband dictates everything. The wife can't even say a word. He will say, who are you? Why are you? Why are you telling me what to do? Where did that start in this house? Why are you giving your opinion? Your opinion does not matter in this matter. I think that's the kind of Bosidon. It's a boss. It's a master-slave relationship. Terrible kind of family. Look at the second one. It's called Tantis. In this relationship, one of them treats the other person to gain strength or acceptance. After which he begins to show his true self. You know, you have case of a guy who is in the US, who brings in a lady. He brings in the lady to the US, send the lady to school of nursing, train her so that the lady can earn enough to help the family. And this lady is doing Uber driver, cleaning to be able to send this guy who brought this lady from Africa. He's doing driver, he's cleaning, he's doing all sorts of odd job in America to be able to send this lady to school so that the lady can earn a living and become a nurse, and then they can take care of the family. Do you know what happened? That's the Tantis. The lady immediately, she's now very comfortable. She's earning a lot. She see the guy as below her level. A man that came to marry you in Nigeria, brought you to America, train you, and he's training you for the purpose of, because his own money alone will not be enough for the children, train you so that you can have enough resources and together we can raise our kids. Because he's already old, probably will not be able to go to the rigors of education. But that's Tantis. The lady used the guy to get what he wants. Or the guy, in some cases, the guy who married a very rich lady. Like the story I played for you just now. The lady took care of the guy, did everything for the guy. But the guy dumped her after 6 years. And the lady literally set up the business for this guy. Tantis. Number 3, Galacticos. In this relationship, the two of them are at par in almost everything. They earn almost the same amount. They are always fighting. They are always fighting. Nobody wants to bow for anybody. Both of them are big boys, big girls. This happens a lot among celebrities. When celebrity marries another celebrity, both of them are big boys and girls. Too much money, too much wisdom. I mean, too much money, too much academics, too much book, but so little wisdom in managing their relationship. This one, they are always fighting, and they will always have irreconcilable differences and separate. Look at the fourth one. The fourth one is called Brethren. You know, when I saw this, I said, Brethren. You know what they call them, Brethren? These are religious people where there is no friendship, but we have to keep up with the Joneses because of what our brethren will say. Even though they are emotionally divorced, they are still physically together because they don't want the church and people in the church to talk. These are the brethren. They are no friendship. They are already emotionally divorced. no attraction of any sort. They are enduring each other. They are only staying there because of what the church will say. The dream team. This is what is recommended. This is not necessarily a perfect relationship, no, but they are good friends. They understand each other well enough to be able to manage each other's differences. They understand each other well enough to be able to manage each other's differences and live happily. The dream team. They are able to understand each other well enough so they are able to manage each other's differences and live together happily. So my recommendation, build a team. Build a dream team. Build a dream team. To be able to build a dream team, ask yourself this question and use it to make necessary adjustments. What kind of family do you want to come? What kind of family do you come out from? What is the perception of man and woman in your family? You want to build a dream team. Ask yourself, what kind of family did you come from? What kind of family? Your family, is it the bossy-don, master-slave relationship? Or tantis, in which one person is taking advantage of the other? Or galacticos, in which both of them are fighting because both of them are big boys and girls? Or brethren, in which both of them are emotionally divorced? Or dream team? Which kind of family do you come from? Then what is the perception of a man and woman in your family? Is a man an ATM and the woman is a baby factory? What is the perception of man and woman in your family that you're coming from? Who should submit between a man or woman in your family? Who should submit between a man and a woman? Both should submit to each other. Both should submit to each other. You should be ready to submit to superior argument, superior wisdom. If your wife is the one making sense, then you need to submit to that argument. If the husband is the one making sense, submit to it. By virtue of the fact that we must have someone to lead that family, the husband is the head, but not mean he's the only one that have monopoly of knowledge. Who should submit? Who is superior between man and woman in your family? Who is superior? You need to know that God made man in his own image. Man is humanity. But he made two models of man, two models. Man and woman are equal, but they are different. Man and woman are equal, but they are different. Man and woman are equal, but they are different. They are different in the sense that they have different roles. And I will talk about those roles in the coming days. You know, some people are husbands. They don't even know what it means to be a husband. Some people are wives. They don't even know what it means to be a wife. You are a man. What does it mean to be a man? You're a woman. What does it mean to be a woman? You need to define. So we are the same. We are equal, but we are only different in the role we perform. What family look like? What family look like your originating family? And what pattern should we expect? What kind of originating family did you come from? And what pattern should we expect? So when you know the family you come from, it gives us an idea of the pattern we should expect. What kind of family do you want to build and why? What kind of family do you want to build? What kind of family? Do you want to build the bossy-don or the tantis or the galacticos or the brethren? Or you want to build a dream team in which both of you are stakeholders working together for the success of the relationship? It's also important to state that most of the things you have been taught about marriage are not totally correct. In fact, some of them are outdated. Let me give you an example. You hear that men is logical, women are emotional. This is not true. Men and women can both be logical and emotional. It is the one you pay attention to that become pronounced. Some men seem to be more logical than women, but there are women that are very logical in their thinking. Some women seem to be more emotional than men, but there are men that are very emotional in their attitude. Another wrong belief about marriage. Women are homemaker. Women are homemaker. This is not true because no woman can make a home that a man has vowed to wreck. If the man has vowed to wreck the home, no woman can make it. So both husband and wife are homemaker. They are both team in making that home. Any man that can provide for his family is worse than an infidel. This is not true. The Bible did not say that if a man cannot provide for a family. He said if any cannot provide for a family. If any, not if a man. The context that he's even talking about is a widow. A widow, not even a man or woman. He said, but if any provide not for his own, especially those of his own house, he has denied the faith and was an infidel. If any does not provide, if any does not provide. The way, another one says, the way to a man's heart is his belly. That's not true. That's not true. This is not true because if this is true, most side chick that are stealing men away from their wife will not be successful. If the way to a man's heart is his belly, side chick will not be successful. Side chick are doing the job that the wife is unable to do. So it's not way to a man's heart, it's not his belly. A woman that can't cook cannot keep a man. That's not true. What if your wife is a billionaire and they can afford to hire a chef to cook a better food for both of you? Our world is changing, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of belief systems we hold there are no more valid. And the earlier we understand that and we drop the idea, the better it is. The better it is. The better it is. Let me read about this story and then I will begin to hear from you. My in-laws wash only their own clothes, plate and clothes. Good afternoon. Never thought I would write here. I have a matter I need to resolve before it gets bigger. My husband's siblings are staying in my house. They have been here for 13 days now. I noticed they watch only the plate they use. They don't bother touching other plates. They will leave it just like that. They will watch their own clothes and leave others. Is it right or wrong? I told my husband, and he said I should leave them alone. Why are they selectively washing? When they want to eat the food I cook, why don't they selectively not eat it too? I should be able to give them my own clothes and my children's clothes too. Am I wrong? I will address this issue in another episode. Let me hear from you. Yes, what have you learned tonight? What have you learned tonight? Abimbola, good evening. How are you? Hello, Abimbola, good evening. Can you hear me? Okay, Abimbola is not there. Favor, good evening. Favor, how are you? What have you learned tonight? Hello, Favor, can you hear me, please? Yes, how are you?
Yes, I can. Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, tell me, what have you learned tonight? Hello?
Thank you, sir. Very fine. Marriage is one person's job because... Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Hello.
I can hear you now.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello.
I can hear you. I think you can.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear
Good evening,
you.
sir.
Good evening.
Okay. I've learned a lot today, but I'll just try to make it very brief.
Yes.
And very first thing that I want to say is that family and marriage is not just one person's thing. Like, it's a collective responsibility.
Yeah.
And we'll be made to believe that women are the homemakers. They are the only ones, like, they should be doing the bulk of the work. But that mindset, that belief system is very outdated, and it's a teamwork, just like football and basketball. Like, everybody just comes together to like build it, to contribute their part.
Yes.
And it shouldn't be one-sided. Everybody should actually work together. And another thing I learned that is, especially if you're maybe in a courtship or relationship, there are certain matters you should bring up. Like, you shouldn't just assume that it will be fine and rosy. It's just like you are hoping for the best. Our spouses, and people that we're actually in a relationship with, talk about our strengths, our weaknesses, things that make us upset, and a bunch of other things. So these are things that should be talked about and that should be prepared beforehand, even before going into marriage and all. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Chooks, Austin. Hello, Chooks. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. So I came in pretty very late.
Okay.
But what I think I came in when you mentioned the different should I say temperaments or personality traits for husbands, men and women generally, and the fact that it's not stereotypical to one aspect where okay, women are emotional, men are not. That there's always the the overlap somewhere. Although I tend to agree with that because research already showed that on on a on a personality traits, men and women vary to some certain degree because women are kind of more orderly. They kind of are better with organizing things, while men are typically more industrious, and there's no differences between IQ of male and female. So there in the end, there's always the overlap. You know, it's not abnormal to see a man that is orderly too. Neither is it abnormal to see an industrious woman. It's just that on a global scale, I support that. So I feel like going forward, planning your home and the aspect of roles and responsibility. As much as I want to stay neutral to the fact that men and women actually should assist each other. You know, it shouldn't be women shouldn't be relegated to probably just home chores and stuff like that. But I like sometimes to make it abundantly clear to define some things because with like yeah, you see, men can cook, they should also be assisting. It's not like they shouldn't assist. And I said, look, I'm fine with that, but most times it's particularly important to define roles and responsibility in the home, especially if one person is going to be the breadwinner, another person probably is going to be around to take care of the kids. Like this parameter should be set. It's not like oh the spouse or the other half would not assist, but it gives a bit clarity who is responsible for this particular area of the home, and then it makes everything just work seamlessly and fine. So I learned a lot this the short time I came. So that's it, sir.
All right. Thank you. Chinedu Namaga. Let's make it snappy. Chinedu, are you there?
Yeah, I am. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you very much for
Yeah.
today's I was really blessed. What I learned today, we are talking about how to get the best out of your partner, and it can only be done if we are able to answer certain questions, which you already highlighted. That is something that looks like we call it the manual.
Yes.
Okay. How do I get the best out of this person? What are the qualities of this person? The weakness. What is your authentic self? Who are you? Right? And what are the safety precautions? What are your fantasies? What makes you upset? How do you recover from, when you are angry? How do you recover from it? Or when you are in a difficult situation, how best do you want your partner to come in? Also, there was something you said. You said that environment creates experience.
Yeah.
on how to run your life, and all those affect our belief system. Then the things you value are going to affect the actions you take. Okay, so then you are now trying to ask. There are some things you mentioned. You said, okay, what are the position of man or woman in the family? Who should submit to each other? The man is supposed to submit to the woman is supposed to be submit to the man. Okay? Then I also there was something I learned today too. I thought it was just for equal and opposite forces. I didn't know that it also relates to man and woman. When you said man and woman are equal, but
they are different.
They are equal, but they are different.
Yeah.
It's also Newton's third law of motion that says that action and reaction are equal and
opposite.
Trying to see the way, is what Newton said and how you can also relate that to relationship. So I was really blessed tonight. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Hello, John. Good evening. How are you? John, what have you learned tonight? Good evening. Hello, John. Are you there? Okay. Mary, are you there?
Yes, I'm trying to unmute myself. Sorry.
Okay, John. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure learning from you. So,
Thank you.
and I could relate to a lot of things you said, honestly. Like, there are so many things that you said in my mind. I'm like, Pastor, about you, And then, but I was particularly interested in the types of family. I think this is something that should be taught actually.
Yes.
People really need to learn this in counseling, because these are things that you see around us. Your family falls into one of those categories. Family where you grew up in.
Yeah.
Falls into one of those categories. So you need to now be aware of it. And then deliberately know what you want to build.
Yes.
You understand? So I'm interested in those questions that I actually was list here. I'm not going to go back to it, answer it for myself, share with my wife, and share with them that
fantastic.
They are very, very important. What are things that deal breakers? We can't discuss these things, because that's why people get divorced. Like, this has happened, I cannot come back from it. But if you had told me in the beginning, I would most likely try to avoid that kind of scenario.
Exactly.
So, yeah. It's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mary, good evening. How are you? Mary Kugbe, are you there? Good evening. What have you learned tonight? Okay, Mary is busy. Tolu Lokbe. Tolu, good evening. How are you? Hello, Tolu, can you hear me? Tolu? Okay, I think Tolu is not with us. James, long time. How are you? Good evening. What have you learned tonight? James. Okay, James is not with us. Victoria. Hello, Victoria. Can you unmute yourself? What have you learned tonight?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Hello. Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, as always, for another session. I learned a lot, and something that was peculiar to me was the brethren. Like, I mean, I couldn't get over it first.
What happened to the brethren?
And then literally the explanation he gave to brethren was what was on my mind.
Wow.
And he told me that we could relate with, I mean, considering the fact that they do things based on what church people have to say, what the brethren have to say, what the society have to say. And there is this I don't know how to put it. There is necessity that laid on them to keep up with the marriage, not
Yeah.
because they themselves are actually enjoying it, but because, I mean, what does the brethren have to say about it? So I can relate with that. And then, yeah, then the part of the dream team, I mean, of course, I think that's what everyone is looking up to. That kind of marriage, well, people are trying to work out. And yes, so for me, I actually got that. Then you talk about a lot actually. Thank you very much, sir, for the knowledge.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Victor. Good evening, Victor. How are you? Long time. Hello, Victor.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
I said long time.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. I actually joined in late, but I was able to pick up something that um was was a valid point for me. He talked about like definition. That when it comes
Yeah.
about marriage and family life, it's important to define a man, to define a woman, to define what it means to be what it means to be a husband, what it means to be a wife, what it means to be build a family. And I think that's a very important question that we all must ask ourselves, because as simple as it is, I'm not sure the answers are as simple as the question may be.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that's something that am even trying to like ask myself, like, what is this idea of um of married and family life? So I think that is something that I will love to find answers for.
Don't worry.
And I want to say,
We will discuss it.
oh, okay, sir.
We'll discuss
Okay,
it in
sir.
coming days. All right. Thank you.
Oh, yes, sir.
Mary
I
Tolu.
want to say that are there books that you read?
He said,
I want to say that are there books
you
that you
can
can
chat me.
recommend
You
that
can
will
chat
also
me. I
help
can
us?
check. You can chat me.
Oh, okay.
I will check
Okay,
and
sir.
get back
Okay,
to
sir.
you.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
James, Tolu, and Mary. I've not heard from you. Are you still with us? James. Is James here now? Tolu and Mary. Hello, James, Tolu, and Mary. Are you there? Okay. If you guys are not available, let's close for today. Thank you very much, everyone, for being able to make it tonight. We'll continue next week. And next week, we will be discussing we're still on protocol. Like I said, protocol is a bit long. We'll be on protocol 4 next week. And we'll be looking at another very, very interesting and probably fairly sensitive topic. See you next week. Have a wonderful weekend and bye-bye.